Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I learned about this book from Robbie over at The Book Brats. You guys should totally check them out. I'll leave a link to their channel down below. But he was doing basically a live reaction to his reading I believe the back half of this book. And it sounded really interesting, and I was really moved by how affected he was by it. So I commented and, said I was interested in giving it a read, and he told me I should. So I went ahead and I downloaded it and I read it, and it was awesome. I really, really loved it. They're actually going to be doing a book discussion on it, I believe, on their channel, him and his co-host, Julie. But I wanted to do a book review. I actually read this book probably a few weeks ago, and I was waiting for them to do their book discussion so that I could maybe tailor my review as kind of a response to their discussion, kind of keep the discussion going. But they haven't posted it yet, and I kind of really wanted to review this book because it was really, really great. So first of all, let's give a brief... So first of all, brief synopsis. So They Both Die at the End, I believe, is set in modern contemporary time. Except there is this company called the Death Cast. They call you on the day that you are supposed to die and tell you that somewhere within the next 24 hours you will die. So the book primarily follows two teenage boys. One of them is 17, about to turn 18, and the other one has just turned 18 or has already turned 18. So you've got Mateo and Rufus. And they're two boys, they do not know each other. They both sign up for this app called Last Friend, which essentially is an app where people who are dying can connect either with someone else that's dying or with someone who's not dying but would like to spend that person's last day with them, helping them kind of, have a great last day on earth kind of thing. A bon voyage, going away friend. Which is kind of depressing. Anyway, these two boys both sign up for the app. Again, they don't know each other, but they both sign up for the app and they meet through this app and decide to spend their last day together. It was great. It was great. It sounds like a super simple plot, and it really is. It's a very simple plot with a really big, infinite philosophical question, if you will. And that is, essentially, what would you do with your last day on Earth if you knew it was your last day on Earth? So these two boys spend the day together. That's really all the book is. It's written in the span of one day. It is mostly told in first person, though it does jump to third person every now and then. But it's told through the perspective, primarily through the perspective of Rufus and Mateo, these two boys. And so things that I loved, because liked is just not enough. I really, really loved a lot that we were able to follow two Latin protagonists. I feel like that's not really done very often, not often enough. Usually if you see a person of color, they're, a side character or maybe even a side main character, but the main protagonist is always typically white. I don't know, female or male, which one is more common. But it was really refreshing to see a story told through the perspective of two people of color. And one of them is Cuban, that would be Rufus. I'm Cuban, so I love that. And then Mateo is Puerto Rican. I just loved it. And also they were LGBT youths, which again is something that I don't think we see enough of. I am of the opinion that we should have diversity in our novels because we have diversity in our world. And if the purpose of a good novel is for us to be able to identify with characters, then we need to have characters that have aspects of them that that everybody can identify with, even just a piece of them. I happen to be bisexual, and as I said, I am Cuban, so I happen to connect with these two boys on two different levels. One being a Latino, and then two, or I guess in my case, Latina, and then also being part of the LGBT community, though I am not a youth, but I was once. So we follow these two boys on their last day, and the long and short of it is that they fall in love. You know, a lot of people might argue that this was insta-love, and I think I would agree. Typically, I don't enjoy that. However, in this context, because of the subject matter and because of their circumstances, it works. And it doesn't feel like insta-love because, like I said, it does take place in the span of a day. So they really don't have much time. There's no time. There's literally no time. But it's very gradual, and it's very, very much with the stakes in mind. We could die at any moment. But it's very much a natural progression. At least I felt it was. So what else? I really loved these two boys' voices. You know, a lot of times in YA literature, not so much that the voices sound identical, but the voices tend to sound kind of the same. Almost like you can tell it was the same writer that wrote these two characters. In this case, and not every YA novel does that. I'm not saying that every other YA novel does that. But there are some where you can absolutely tell that these are not two separate people. This is the same writer that wrote two different people. It's the same voice. However, in this story, though, you can really see the separation between these two characters, just in the way that they speak, in the way that they phrase things. And that was something that really caught my attention, that I really enjoyed, because I really did feel like I was following two perspectives, of these two boys. Something I thought was a really interesting choice by Adam Silvera. One of the boys' father is essentially in a coma throughout the whole novel, and there's no telling when really he'll wake up. And it was really interesting to see, where you have Mateo, who knows that he's going to die at any moment, and then you have his father, who may very well die, but he has infinite moments. We don't really know when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. He might wake up, he might not. I just thought that was a really interesting juxtaposition, where you have the older male who, there's a chance that he might die, but it's not yet certain. And meanwhile, you have this 18-year-old boy who has his entire life ahead of him that is absolutely, unequivocally, undeniably going to die by the end of this novel. There's no sidestepping it at all. I just thought that was a really interesting choice on Adam Silvera's part. And then you have, on the other hand, you have Rufus, whose family, he witnessed their death. His mother, his father, and his older sister, if I'm not mistaken. So his family's day has come because they got the phone call, is what it's often referred to. It's the phone call. They got the phone call, and he witnessed their death. And then so you have him already knowing what's coming and what is absolutely inevitable, but still trying to live in the moment and really just live his life, what little of it he has left. I think this novel touched on a lot of questions that kind of resonates with a lot of people. I mean, I think everyone at some point in their lives have either been asked or posited the question, if I had one day left to live, what would I do with that day? And it's just, and not just that, but, I mean, I can speak from personal experience. When I was, 17, 18, 19, I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And I thought that made me a failure. I thought that my life was over before it had ever begun, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know if I wanted to go to college. I didn't know if I wanted to go to film school. I ended up doing both, just a FYI. But I was kind of at a loss. And, these kids are right at that age where their future is literally right in front of them. They just need to figure out which way they want to go. And then they're given this information to where doesn't matter what decision they make for their future, they don't have a future. And it's just incredible how that very quickly puts everything into perspective, you know? When you know that you are undeniably, inevitably going to die and you won't have tomorrow, it just really just makes you laser focused and puts everything into perspective. And I really think that Adam Silvera did a really great job with that. The character development was great. It was spot on. I mean, these two boys could not be from different paths, and yet at the end they find enough common ground to where they feel connected, and in a very natural and organic way, I felt. Things that I didn't like. You know, I really can't think of any. I truly cannot think of anything that I didn't like. I guess that the fact that they both die at the end. But the way that they die it's very poetic. I think I saw in Robbie's video that once he got to the end, that he mentioned that he knew what was going to happen, but he was not emotionally prepared for it. And I think several other people, if I'm not mistaken, in the comments had also said that they already knew what was going to happen. They knew how it was going to end, but they were not emotionally prepared for the way it was going to play out. I would agree. I knew what was going to happen, just like everybody else. I mean, it says it in the damn title. They both die at the end. But I really wasn't prepared for the poetic and almost lyrical way that Adam Silvera wrote it. And not so much in the words that he chose, just in the way that these two kids finally left. I mean, I won't give, I've pretty much given a lot of spoilers anyway, so this is kind of more of a discussion than it is a review, I think. But as far as what I didn't like about it, I really can't find anything. Actually, one thing I didn't like about it, Peck, but that wasn't something that I didn't like about the novel because I didn't like the character. I just didn't like the character. He's an asshole. But I think you're supposed to feel that way. No, I mean, I don't think there's anything that I didn't like about it. I really loved the actor that had also gotten the phone call. We kind of see a little glimpse of that, and you know, that posits the question: just because you have all the fame and all the money in the world, does that necessarily mean that you've been able to live your life to the fullest? I mean, he tackles a lot of really deep, really just really deep and insightful questions that a lot of people have had. I think that's why I loved this novel so much, you know. What would you do with your last day? If you have all the money and all the fame in the world, does that necessarily mean that you've lived a great life? He even tackles those near-death experiences that really put everything into focus for you, the close calls that you have. I have had one myself in my past. I was in a car accident where everyone should have died and no one did. No one even lost a limb or had any permanent damage, which is unbelievable. That's a lie. I do have some nerve damage in here, but it's not, I mean, I can move. I have all my limbs. I can walk. I can speak sometimes. But it's just so packed with all of these really deep and soul-searching questions that, you know, it just really gets you to thinking, you know? And I think that's why I really liked this novel a lot. I did. And I think it's a gold mine for discussion. So I don't want to discuss too much. Hopefully the book brats will see this video and maybe we can start this discussion. It'd be kind of cool if we could, like, have a discussion in alternating YouTube videos, you know? But if not, it's totally cool. I'm sure that they already, if they haven't already filmed it, they probably already have their discussion planned out, which is totally fine. But guys, let me know in the comments below, have you read this novel? If not, did this discussion kind of interest you into picking it up? Well, I guess if you're watching this, then you've either already read it, you don't care about spoilers, or you just really like to hear me talk, which I doubt, but that'd be nice. Anyway, please let me know your thoughts on this novel if you've read it. Leave them down in the comments below. Let's go ahead and discuss this. I mean, what would you do with your last day on Earth if you knew that in the next 24 hours you were going to meet your death? What would you do with that day? Who would you spend it with? Would you stay in one place? Would you try to see as much of the world as you could? It's really one of those deep, intense conversations that just really makes you think about what's important in your life. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm going to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really did enjoy it. I did not cry at the end, which I thought I was going to, but maybe because I thought I was going to, I was gearing myself up for something just 10 times worse than what it actually was, subconsciously, and that's why I didn't cry. But it did touch me. It did touch me right here, right, my corazón. So, I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys a good YA novel, enjoys those deep, philosophical, pensive questions like that. And who also appreciates, fellow LGBT, protagonists and people of color in their YA novels. Protagonists of color, I should say, because people of color are basically present in a lot of YA novels. But again, mainly as, side characters, villains. I've seen it a lot. But it's really nice, it's really nice to see a person of color as a main protagonist, and one that you can truly, truly root for. Even Rufus, I mean, he has his flaws. They both have their flaws. They do. Neither one of them is a perfect character. But even Rufus, where he's really rough around the edges, at first you really warm up to him and you feel for this kid. I mean, I almost felt like I was, watching my sons have their last day together. That's weird because that would make them brothers, and they basically fall in love at the end. What I mean to say is that I felt really connected to these two boys. And I think you will too, if you'd like to give this novel a chance. It's freaking phenomenal. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4 out of 5. And I believe I've already done a review on my Goodreads. So I'll go ahead and link that down below. If you enjoyed this content, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can ding the little bell so that you get notifications every time I post. I post new videos Wednesdays and Fridays. And I will see you guys next time. Have a great weekend. They both die at the end by Adam Silvera. Well, that sucks.